14box.com here, so we're going to be checking out this article called How a 41-Year-Old Single Mother of Two Retired on $850,000 in Tennessee. And there's a quote saying, I've always been a master of my money. So let's just check out this article. So when Lakeisha Simmons, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Simmons, retired in May 2021, it wasn't just the end of her professional career, it was also the first time she had stopped working since she was 14. Now, I think that's pretty cool that she started work at 14. Not many people actually do that. So, the 41-year-old mother of two says she always considered having a job to be a matter of financial security. Watching family members work with their hands, doing cleaning jobs, janitorial jobs, nanny jobs, instilled in her a strong work ethic, she says. There is no job below my family. They taught me that you do what you have to do to take care of your family, Simmons tells CNBC Make It. But I also knew that I wanted better and they wanted better for me too. For the past decade, Simmons has worked in academia, most recently as an associate professor at Nashville's Belmont University. In 2020, she earned $150,000 between her salary and side hustles. But last spring, Simons Simmons retired after accumulating $850,000 in investments. Now, I'm going to say this like right off the bat. I'll be pretty like I hope they actually go over like how much money she made from side hustles because $150,000 is a lot of money, right? Now, most people don't actually know this, but there's actually a lot of professors that actually make a lot of money. So, though her journey toward FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early, had been in the works since she decided in 2017 that she wanted to retire by 45, Simmons had a hard time allowing herself to step away from her work. I was really nervous about quitting my full time job, she says. I had so much anxiety around it because all I've known is how to work. But now, several months into her retirement, Simmons isn't looking back. So, sacrifice as a fire strategy. Simmons went through a divorce in 2017, a process that she called devastating, but which also made her reevaluate her finances and decide to retire early. When I learned about fire, it completely changed my perspective, she says. I was exposed to this idea that if you save and invest more than the status quo, then you can have all the time in the world to enjoy and pursue your passions because you don't have to work for someone else. Now, she's not emphasizing you, I am, because a lot of people don't really understand this, but you don't have to do something crazy. You just got to be a little bit better than you currently are, you know? So, in order to save up enough to be able to retire early, Simmons' first move was to find ways to cut down her expenses. She quickly realized that the elephant in the room was the 2,400 monthly mortgage on her 5 bedroom, 4 bathroom house, so she decided to sell the home and move into a 2 bedroom apartment with her kids. Now, here's the thing, right? Not everyone needs to make this sort of sacrifice, right? But you also got to keep in mind too, she was married, then got a divorce. Okay? So this house was probably honestly too much for her at that time, right? Because this is for like anyone. If you're like married or you had a partner, you were splitting the cost possibly of the mortgage, and also then now you're stuck with the full mortgage. Well, yeah, you probably should sell that house and downsize so that you could feel safer. So the house was absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous and beautiful, but it sucked me dry monetarily, she says. As a single mom in that huge house, I just felt swallowed. Simmons also switched to a prepaid cell phone plan, got rid of cable, and started making more meals at home. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people diss a prepaid cell phone plan when there's really not much reason to insult it, right? Because a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of these like prepaid cell phone plans from these like Boost Mobile or Metro and all that kind of stuff, they are literally using the exact same towers as T-Mobile, as Verizon, as Sprint, and some of those companies might also be part of T-Mobile, Sprint, etc. But they might be just like a smaller department of the actual main company. Like so for example, I believe Metro PCS is actually owned by T-Mobile, uses all the same towers, but they're cheaper than T-Mobile, right? So it's just something to really think about. Now, anyone actually still using cable is, I think, personally insane. And yeah, making more meals at home will save you a lot of money. I'm talking making your own meals at home will literally save you hundreds of dollars a month. Not a year, a month. So, though at first she had a hard time finding places to cut her spending, it became easier over time, she says. I always tell people even if you cut something out of your budget, it's not as if you can't ever put it back, she says. If you realize that you really miss something, then add it back for sure. During her first year savings, Simmons managed to put $100,000 into her investment accounts. From there, she saw her money grow quickly. It wasn't just doubling, it was almost tripling every year. I couldn't believe it, she says. That made me inspired to keep investing more. Now, Simmons keeps more than 50% of her investment portfolio in an S&P 500 index fund, around 25% of her money in a total stock market index, and the rest in a mix of bonds and some individual stocks in companies like Apple and Amazon, she says. And here's the thing, right? Like this sort of setup, like a 50-25-25 setup, ain't that bad. Like pretty much you probably want to have the majority of your portfolio in something like the S&P 500 just because the track record of it is very consistent over the long run. So Simmons says that she never felt deprived of anything she really wanted. In fact, she made sure to always set aside money to travel with her children because that's what I value. Though her original plan was to retire when she had saved up $1 million, Simmons decided to leave her job at the end of 2021, spring semester, in part because she was burnt out by teaching remotely while also homeschooling her own children and because she felt the money she had saved up was enough. My investments have grown even though I haven't contributed anything since I left my job May 31st, 2021, she says. Now I have around $910,000. That's pretty sick. So life in retirement. Even though she doesn't need to report to work every day, Simon likes to keep herself busy. She starts her mornings around 6:30 a.m. to get her children ready for school before heading off to the gym. Simmons also makes time to enjoy her new lifestyle. I do make time to go to lunch with girlfriends, she says. I like to do other hobbies like painting. I like to try new recipes and books. She then takes time to work on her side hustles, which include a financial coaching service and an Etsy shop. Combined, her side hustles bring in between $1,000 and $3,000 in revenue, depending on the month. She says that teaching people about finances helped her scratch the same itch that being a professor did. I've always been a master of my money and figuring out my goals and doing the research to make those goals happen, she says. But just recently I started helping others because I realized what good is it if I'm getting ahead financially and building wealth, but my own family and friends aren't able to build wealth too. I thought that was a pretty good story. And this is the thing, right? You don't have to overcomplicate personal finance to eventually live a better life. Like just to keep that in mind, like don't make it too complicated, right? try to make more money and try to cut your expenses. If you try to do both of those, pretty much you will succeed, right? Without overcomplicating it, right? Because technically speaking, you actually only have to change one of those factors to actually improve your financial situation. So, for example, if you made literally no more money, like no extra money than what you're making right now in terms of like yearly income. So let's say that you were making 40K a year every year for the rest of your life. Like that would stay the exact same, which never does, but let's just say that it stays the exact same for the rest of your life. If you simply cut down your costs, you could still live a better life. You could have money towards investments. Because again, a lot of people think that you need crazy amounts of money to be able to retire wealthy. That is not the case. Literally investing a car payment every single month will allow you to retire with multiple seven figures by the time you actually retire, right? Now, the more money that you can put towards your investments obviously will make it a lot quicker, right? You won't have to wait decades for millions of dollars to grow in your account. It could be a couple years if you're able to boost your income by a heavy amount, right? That's why if you really want to retire early, you have to increase your income by doing side hustles or just getting a better paying job or just working overtime hours and cutting costs because then you make a much bigger leap forward in your financial freedom journey. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to complicate things like at all, right? So, if you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com and we'll see you in future episodes because we love talking about personal finance and we want people to just live a little bit more of a free life. Because once you're debt free, you could put a lot of money towards investments if you want to retire early. You could put a lot of money towards donations to charities because you just want to try to help to make the world a better place. Or you could just save up and hoard a lot of money so you could buy a whole bunch of like I don't know like Lambos or something because you have the money to do so.